Hey guys, Richard here. In this video, we're going to talk about how to ride the Heybike Alpha. And when I'm talking about how to ride, I'm not going to teach you how to ride a bike for the first time. I'm going to teach you how to operate a mid-drive motor e-bike. And that's exactly what we got here. So let's get into it. So what makes the Heybike Alpha kind of special is the fact that it does have a mid-drive motor, and it has to be treated a little differently than a standard e-bike so you don't cause a lot of damage. And what I'm referring to, when you have a hub drive motor, and that's a typical bike that's got the motor back here in the rear wheel, or maybe it's in the front, versus having an e-bike that is a mid-drive where the motor is located right up here at the pedals. Here's the differences. When you're applying pedal power and you're moving the pedals and moving that crank, the energy for a hub drive motor is transferred through the pedals, through the chain, back down here through the cogs, and it's going to go to the motor right here. And you've got to put some effort into it. You got to put a little extra power into it, maybe to get over a hill or to get moving. When you have a mid-drive motor, it's a lot more powerful of a motor, and your human power gets applied to the pedals, to the crank, and it goes right to the motor. And so when you have a mid-drive motor that is, say, 500 watts, that could easily equal or be greater than a hub drive motor that is 1,000 watts, okay, just for comparison. So you have to understand there's just a lot of power, a lot of torque being applied right here. And if you don't shift your gears, if you don't ride the bike properly, you're going to cause some damage. You can cause some damage to the motor. You could cause the chain to pop and split in two because there's too much power here. You could strip out your cogs back here because they get damaged because there's just too much force on those things than what they're designed for. And it can just be really costly. So the whole idea behind riding a mid-drive bike is knowing when to shift and how to shift your gears in order to propel yourself down the road. Now, a regular e-bike, you can often get started just using the throttle. So you hop on, you get everything powered up, and because the bikes are heavier, people tend to use the throttle, and I certainly do, just to get momentum, to get kind of moving, and then you start pedaling. That's how I like to ride. But you got to think completely different when talking about a mid-drive, because you can't do that. Using your throttle can provide too much torque all at one time to the motor, and it can really damage it, as I mentioned just a moment ago. So what Heybike has done is they have disabled the throttle initially. So when we're standing still, you can hit that throttle, the bike's not going to move at all. It's just designed to do that. It's only designed to work after the bike is in motion going down the road. Now, as you can imagine, if you leave your bike in high gear, say gear 6, 7, or 8 if it's an 8-speed, you know how stiff that pedal can be when you first start out and you're trying to ride. You got to really put a lot of effort because it really feels hard. That is applying way too much power and torque to the motor, and it's going to damage it right away. So you can't do that. So what you have to do is you have to make sure you start out in gears 1, 2, or 3. Start in a low gear where the pedal is a lot easier to move and it allows you to get the bike propelled and moving down the road. So once you get moving down the road, then you can shift up into a higher gear as you get going faster and faster like you typically would. Well, you have to remember, every time you come to a stop or you need to slow down, you need to downshift. Because if you forget, you'll get slowing down and maybe even come to a complete stop, and you leave it in gear 6, 7, or 8, you're going to be in too high of a gear again to safely get started without possibly causing damage to your motor. I've done that several times, and what I had to do is hop off the bike, lean it up like this, spin the pedal while I go ahead and downshift to get the chain down to a lower gear. Then I get on the bike and I start over again. So let's just go for a quick ride, and I'll demonstrate this and show you how it works. All right, let's get the Heybike Alpha powered up here, hitting the power button. There we go. All right. So again, making sure you were starting in a low gear, 1, 2, or 3 is typically fine. And you don't want to put like a whole bunch of effort and power onto the pedal. You just want a little bit to kind of get going. There we go. Just like that. And then we can shift up. Now when you shift gears, you don't want to be pushing on the pedals. You don't want to be putting a lot of effort into the pedal. You just want to ease up on the pressure. Kind of like driving a car, a manual car, right? I mean, you want to push in the clutch in order to change gears. Remember, for those of you who used to drive a manual car, or maybe still do, same kind of concept. So you want to ease up on the pressure, change gear, and let it slip right into the next gear, and then you can start pedaling again. If by chance you're using the throttle, you would do the same thing. Like right now, we're using the throttle. I've got the throttle completely engaged, and you're not going to get the same response out of a hub motor bike. It's just not going to give you the same kind of response. What this one is doing pretty much is it'll just maintain the speed. It's not going to allow you to kind of zoom up and go like you would on a typical bike. So we're just kind of maintaining the speed that we were at. That's all we get out of it. Yeah, so what I found is you know, for a mid-drive bike like this, throttle really not going to do much for you. It just doesn't work that way. All right, so we're going to go ahead and slip on up here. I'm going to release the throttle here, and I'm just going to continue pedaling, and I'm going to ease up the pressure on the pedal. There we go. Slipped it right into fourth gear. Now I'm putting more pressure on it. This is, you know, got that torque sensor, so you can kind of get moving pretty good here. I'm going to ease up the pressure again and slip it into 5. There we go. Yeah, just like that. Now when it comes to stopping, you got to do the same thing. You just got to go back in reverse order, right? So you're cruising along, and what I do, what I found that works best for me is I end up using my front brakes a lot more, the brakes on the left side, because I'll start applying those brakes with my left hand, and then I'll start downshifting with my right hand. So let's go ahead and come to a stop right up here. So we're going to apply my brakes, easing up on my pedals, and go ahead and downshifting to, there's 2, and there's 1. Yeah, nice and slow and easy. And when we're ready to take off again, just a slight movement of the pedal and the bike engages and wants to take off with you. Cruising along, gonna go ahead and upshift. I eased up the pressure on the pedal. We're moving along in second gear. I'm going to ease up on the pressure a little bit, slipping into third, going a little faster, easing up on the pressure, slipping it into fourth, moving along faster, ease up the pressure, slip it into 5, going a little faster now, pressing a little harder, ease up the pressure, slip it into 6, there we go. Cruising along, easing up the pressure on the pedal, slip it into 7. Hello. Gonna ease up the pressure, slip it into 8. And now we're in 8th speed, or 8th gear. Past 4, cruising right along. Oh no, we need to make a quick stop. You know what? Start using your brakes. Remember to ease up the pressure on your pedal and start downshifting just like this. Whew. That'll wake up the neighbor's kids. All right. Yeah. You get the idea where we're headed with this. Cruising along, ease up the pressure, shift up. Ease up the pressure, shift up. Do it again. And we're cruising right along. So guys, it's not hard. It's just, it takes a little bit to get used to. When you're not used to it, if you're more familiar with a hub drive motor, you're gonna think, oh man, that's too complicated. And it is initially, you know, until you kind of understand the mechanics of it and understand, you know, what you can do and what you shouldn't be doing with it. But it's a fun bike to ride. I'm really starting to enjoy mid-drive. The more I ride them, the more I kind of get used to them. I kind of like the idea of having to shift constantly. But I was also the kid that really enjoyed a manual shift transmission too. So if that's something you enjoyed, then you would certainly enjoy a mid-drive bike like this that requires you to continuously shift back and forth. There we go. And I'm getting better at remembering to downshift, because what you don't like is being left in a high gear and you're sitting still, and then you got to do something like this, and then you got to reach down here and pedal and try to shift your gears, and it gets all complicated. And remember, you don't have access to a throttle, so you can hit your throttle. It's not going to get you anywhere. That's one thing I do miss compared to a regular hub drive bike, especially when it comes to things like intersections where, you know, the light turns green and it's your turn to go and you just want to shoot across an intersection and get out of the way kind of quickly. I don't like to linger in the intersection. I like being able to just to hit that throttle and go, and well, you don't have that with a you know, mid-drive bike. So just be aware of that. Easy on the pressure, shifting up. Easy on the pressure, shifting up. There we go. Pretty easy to do. It's a fun ride. It's crazy fun. Crazy fun. Yeah, so let me tell me what you think about the Heybike Alpha and mid-drives. Make a comment down below if you own one already. Certainly tell us what I missed, because I'm not perfect. You know, I'm still learning myself, so there may be some tips here that I missed. So if you're aware of any, put them down below so the rest of us can learn from your experience. If you're new to mid-drives and you're thinking about buying a mid-drive, tell us why. Tell us what intrigues, what is intriguing about mid-drives that you would want to go out and purchase one. For me, it's just a completely different riding experience. See, I didn't shift down enough. At least I didn't come to a complete stop. So I am really easy on my pedal right now. No pressure at all as I start to build up speed, because I failed to downshift. I was only in 6th gear when I made that U-turn. So I still do that sometimes. There we go. Put it down in 5 at least. There we go. Now I can shift up. Yeah, so tell us down below what you think, and provide any tips for the rest of us, because I'm still learning, and I'm sure there's something else here that I'm not doing that I should be, or something to make things a little bit easier, and we'll all learn together. Hey, if you're interested in the Heybike Alpha, it is a good quality build. You can't beat the price for a mid-drive bike. It shifts really good. It's nice and smooth. There's nothing that feels cheap about this bike at all. It's just a great value. In fact, I easily say that this is probably the best value for 2025 when it comes to mid-drives, because mid-drives typically start around $2,000 and go up from there. And if I'm not mistaken, this thing's hovering around $1,500, but that was before the tariff war kicked off, and who knows where that's going to lead. But yeah, super nice bike. So make sure you follow the link down below and go check it out. If you have questions for me, I will try to answer them, considering that I'm not an expert on mid-drives, but I'll do my best. Guys, that's going to be it for this video. Give me a like, give me a thumbs up. I will see you in another video real soon. Ride responsibly, ride safe.